everybody, welcome back to the Chunkiest Truth. This is Jordan. Today I have an emergency update on Hurricane Imelda, as it is now expected to continue to intensify over the next couple of days as it moves to the east towards Bermuda, and it will peak as a glowing Category 2 hurricane with sustained winds of 100 miles an hour before moving really close to, not if making a landfall in Bermuda. I will also be talking about the impacts of Bermuda, as we will likely see some hurricane-force winds, significant rip currents, significant to catastrophic flooding, and some significant storm surge as well. So anyways, let's get straight into this emergency update. First of all, looking at the National Hurricane Center, you can see we have Hurricane Imelda up there. We also have Humberto, which is weakening. And we also have an area to watch in the Eastern Pacific with a 70% chance of development. And we also have Tropical Storm Octave out there. But this is going to focus on Imelda. Right now it's at 85 miles an hour sustained winds with a pressure of 978 millibars, and is currently moving to the east-northeast at 12 miles an hour. First, we're going to look at the forecast advisory. Right now it's at 75 knots or 85 miles an hour. Wind gusts up to 90 knots or 105 miles an hour, and is expected to continue to gradually intensify over the next couple of days before reaching its peak as a low in Category 2 hurricane with sustained winds of 100 miles an hour and wind gusts up to 115 miles an hour, or 120 miles an hour, before making landfall, passing very close to Bermuda and bringing some significant impacts, which we will talk about in a little bit. And then after that, gradually weaken before becoming extratropical and eventually dissipating in probably 5 or 6 days. Here is your forecast cone. You can see generally it should move to the east-northeast over the next couple of days before it becomes extratropical and starts moving more to the northeast. By that time it will begin to weaken, and you can see we do have that hurricane warning for Bermuda. Looking at the wind speed probabilities, we will likely see tropical storm force winds in Bermuda starting tomorrow. We also see some 60 mile an hour or greater wind speeds, and we probably also see some hurricane force wind speeds. They give it around a 50% chance to a 60% chance as of now. It looks like Bermuda is going to get some strong winds from this system. Looking at our key messages, Imelda will bring damaging hurricane force winds to Bermuda. That's right, they have a hurricane warning out there. We will start to see some tropical storm force winds tomorrow, and then eventually they will see some Category 1, Category 2 force hurricane winds. And it's going to cause significant storm surge and also some significant flooding. Potentially catastrophic flooding, which could cause some mudslides, and we also see some beach erosion from the storm surge. And there will be rip currents and swells along the east coast from Imelda and Humberto, so make sure to stay off those beaches for the next few days, as there will be some rip currents and some slightly higher waves than usual, some significant waves, and you do not want to be out in those. Looking at our satellite imagery now, here is Imelda. You can see it is much more well organized than it was a couple of days ago. We might even start to see an eye form over the next few hours on this storm. Not the best convection, but there is still quite a bit of convection. You can actually see it moving and rotating there. The cloud tops are reaching all the way up to around 60 to 70. Negative 60 to negative 70 degrees Celsius, I think that is. So that's pretty high up in the atmosphere. Here is our sea surface temperatures in the Atlantic, where Imelda is right now, has really good water temperatures of around 28 degrees Celsius, and it will continue to have those as it moves to the east-northeast. As it turns to the northwest, it will get slightly less eventually before it encounters some unfavorable waters, and it will start to more rapidly weaken as it moves to the northeast. Here's the wind shear in the Atlantic. Humberto's getting sheared a lot by Imelda, but you can see Imelda, pretty good wind shear here in just a little bit, and you can see the satellite imagery appears to be a little bit behind, which is interesting, but Imelda's in a good environment, and it will continue to be, because even though it seems there's a lot of wind shear around it, just due to the air's low pressure, it is actually in a lower wind shear environment, and it will continue to bring that along with it. And here's our ocean heat content. Imelda not have the best environment for ocean heat content, but still good, and that's why it's gradually intensifying still. As it gets past Bermuda, you can see it's not as good of ocean heat content, that's why it will start weakening. We have decent ocean heat content in parts of the main development region, although it could be better. The Caribbean and Gulf of Mexico have very good ocean heat content. In fact, some of the Caribbean has ocean heat content of around 175 to 200, which is really good. If something moves through that area, it would be able to rapidly intensify, and it only really takes one, so make sure that if something does end up moving through there, you need to prepare for like a worst case scenario, because it would really be easy for something to become like a Category 5 hurricane in an environment like that. Look at our wind shear out there. We also don't have a ton of wind shear in that area, so if something moves through there, it could actually intensify quite quickly. Now we're going to look at some models real quick. HWRF has it continuing to strengthen a little bit. Eventually it will start to weaken and become extratropical there. You can see it doesn't have it weakening a ton, it actually has a strengthening a little bit, which is interesting. Here's the HMLN. Pretty similar to the HWRF. Generally similar intensities. You can see it really goes outside this range here, but generally it should stay below 990 millibars according to this model. Here's the HAFSA. You can see it has it intensifying a little more before eventually reaching its peak. You can see it passes very close to Bermuda there. That would be a very bad scenario for Bermuda, but it looks like pretty much the most likely scenario at this point. We have a few more models to look at. Here's the HAFSB. All of these models are really similar. Even the GFS is pretty similar to the other models. Even though it's not as high resolution, actually it has it dissipating much faster. That's interesting. That would be an interesting scenario, because all other models have it dissipating much later in the runs. You can see here, the Euro has it turning north before it impacts Bermuda, and actually, it gets really far north, and the Euro has it never impacting Bermuda. So now it's time to talk about the impacts of Bermuda, with how the models are going here and how the steering currents are. It's likely going to get very close to Bermuda. It's going to bring some tropical storm force winds starting tomorrow of likely 40 to 60 miles an hour before reaching the peak winds of 80 to 100 miles an hour across Bermuda. That's also going to bring some significant to catastrophic rainfall due to the heavy rainfall with the storm and all the convection, and that could last for several hours. There will likely be some landslides, not a lot of them. There will also be a lot of flooding in general across Bermuda. There will also be some storm surge and rip currents, so you could see some storm surge of multiple feet out there, 3 to 5 feet, maybe even reaching up to 10 feet in some spots before the storm reaches. And the eastern coast will actually see water get pulled away from the shores because the storm's going to be moving away. And the water's going to get pulled to the south and to the southeast away from Bermuda. So the west side's going to see storm surge, but the east side, there's going to be water being pulled away. And as for the rip currents, there will be some rip currents over the next few days and slightly larger waves due to the influence of the storm and how it works. There will be some rip currents across Bermuda for the next couple of days, and even as it passes, there could still be some rip currents before it moves far enough away that it will have no impact on Bermuda. Anyways, that's all I have for this emergency update. If you're in Bermuda or you know any family or friends in Bermuda, make sure to let them know about this and share this video with them. There will be some hurricane force winds, some significant storm surge, significant to catastrophic flooding, and also some rip currents and larger swells. Remember to like this video, subscribe to my channel so YouTube will push this out to more people. Share this video, especially those in Bermuda, so that they can stay prepared and know it's coming towards them. And also leave a comment down below of what you think of all this, and what you think the hurricane season is going to be like over the next couple of months, because hurricane season ends on November 30th, so we actually still have around 2 months left, and we will likely see at least a few more storms, not if several more storms during that time period, likely at least a couple more hurricanes, not if a few more hurricanes. We could also see a couple major hurricanes. Anyways, that's all I have for this video. Goodbye.